Friends, before we step into today's chilling new Cold War in Silicon Valley, I want you to pause for a moment and look at a photo on your screen. These two companies, Apple and Google, over the past 20 years have been like KFC versus McDonald's, or Real Madrid versus Barcelona. iOS and Android fans have fought online for over a decade, each convinced the other side was heresy. But this week, something absolutely insane happened. Insane on the level of McDonald's suddenly announcing that all future Big Macs will be made with KFC fried chicken. Apple officially announced that future versions of Siri, the voice assistant we all know, will have its brain taken over by Google's Gemini. Many tech bloggers are celebrating this as a win-win partnership and a massive upgrade to user experience. They are completely wrong. This interpretation is painfully naive. In my analytical framework, this is not a business marriage. It's a survival alliance formed under extreme pressure. It's like Batman suddenly releasing the Joker from Arkham Asylum and handing him a gun. Why? Because a threat even scarier than both of them combined has arrived. That threat is Thanos. And who is Thanos? It's a super alliance powered by NVIDIA's nuclear-level compute, Microsoft's frontline cloud bases, and OpenAI charging into battle. Let's call it the compute empire. Some of you might think I'm exaggerating, so let's peel off the shiny tech headlines and look at the cash flow logic underneath. If Apple and Google didn't team up, if they followed Microsoft and NVIDIA's script, the future would look like this. All thinking, writing, drawing, and coding happens in the cloud. Your iPhone, your Android phone. Sorry, they become nothing more than screens. And if you're just selling screens, can you still collect a 30% Apple tax? Can you still control user data? No. At that point, the ones taxing the entire world would be Microsoft and OpenAI, the monopolists of the cloud-based brain. Do you see it now? Apple and Google, sworn enemies for decades, ended up in the same bed because they were staring at the same nightmare, being hollowed out by the cloud empire and reduced to mere pipes of the digital age. At this moment, an invisible iron curtain has already fallen over Silicon Valley. The old globalization story, where everyone made money together, is over. Silicon Valley has split into two irreconcilable camps. One side wants to upload your brain to the cloud, the compute landlords. The other side is desperately trying to stuff AI back into your phone, the terminal warlords. In 2026, buying U.S. stocks is no longer about picking individual companies. You are betting on two different visions of the future. Either the cloud consumes everything, or the terminal fights back. And in this clash of gods, one figure, once crowned as the god of AI, has quietly become the first sacrifice. That figure is OpenAI. Is it still sitting at the table in this new world order? Next, we're going behind enemy lines to dismantle the seemingly invincible compute empire and see what kind of high-cost landmines are buried beneath its glossy financials. The compute empire's triangle said Apple and Google joined forces because of the massive shadow hanging over them. OpenAI, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. To understand this camp, imagine a triangle. This triangle explains why U.S. stocks went insane over the past 2 years, and why the bubble is now starting to hiss. At the top sits OpenAI, the god responsible for GPT models. Bottom left is Microsoft, the money, providing the servers, the temples for the god. Bottom right is NVIDIA supplying H100 chips, the divine artifacts required to create gods. On the surface, these are separate companies. In reality, they are running the same closed-loop capital game. It's like the classic joke about three broke guys who all want water, except instead of empty bowls, they're holding hundreds of billions in cash. Here's how the loop works. First, Microsoft raises hundreds of billions from the stock market and hands it to NVIDIA. Jensen, give me 20,000 GPUs. NVIDIA's revenue explodes. Its stock takes off. Second, Microsoft installs those GPUs into its cloud data centers and tells OpenAI, "Bro, the compute is ready. Burn as much as you want. Consider it my investment." OpenAI's valuation skyrockets. Third, OpenAI uses that compute to train GPT, then charges the world $20 a month or sells APIs to startups. Finally, most of that revenue flows straight back to Microsoft as cloud fees. And Microsoft uses that money to buy the next generation of NVIDIA chips. Do you see the trick? It's a left foot stepping, right foot perpetual motion machine. In this loop, NVIDIA sells shovels. Microsoft collects land rent. OpenAI shouts slogans and attracts pilgrims. Together, they're selling a single vision. All human intelligence will run inside our cloud triangle. This isn't a tech company model. It's an attempt to become the East India Company of the digital age. 4 words describe it perfectly. Compute taxation. The terror of centralization. Their core logic is centralized control. They want your future to look like this. You want to write an email? Connect to Microsoft's cloud.gpt. Writes it. Pay a cent. You want to design a poster? Connect to Midjourney. Pay 5 cents. You want to make a video? Connect to Sora. Pay $1. In their design, your phone and computer don't need brains. They just need screens and cables. The real brain, the super AI, must be locked inside heavily guarded data centers. It's like banning home kitchens. Their core logic is centralized control. They want your future to look like this. You want to write an email? Connect to Microsoft's cloud. GPT writes it. Pay a cent. You want to design a poster? Connect to Midjourney. Pay 5 cents. You want to make a video? Connect to Sora. Pay $1. In their design, your phone and computer don't need brains. They just need screens and cables. The real brain, the super AI, must be locked inside heavily guarded data centers. It's like banning home kitchens. If everyone eats at the cafeteria, who cares whether your bowl is gold or ceramic? The iPhone becomes just an access terminal. All the premium gets sucked into the cloud. That's why Masayoshi-san is desperately squeezing into this camp. $1 trillion AI funds, because he smells the oldest scent in capitalism, monopoly. Control intelligence at the source, and you can tax humanity forever. The fatal bug, cost, but anything that looks like a perpetual motion machine always hides a massive bug. The compute empire's Achilles heel is 2 words, cost, or, in financial terms, capex. To keep this cloud cafeteria running, to keep GPT getting smarter, OpenAI, Microsoft, and NVIDIA burn over $100 billion a year. Just the electricity bill alone could bankrupt a small country. It's like building a Michelin restaurant with a palace-level kitchen and gold-plated cookware, only to realize the dishes are too expensive for customers. Sounds great, doesn't sell. This creates a brutal reality, great reviews, terrible sales. How many companies are willing to pay $20 per employee per month just to write the occasional poem? How many startups abandon expensive APIs and switch to free open-source models? Wall Street is whispering a terrifying phrase, negative ROI. Hundreds of billions spent each quarter. Actual AI-driven revenue barely moves the needle. This giant is burning fuel non-stop, and if users don't keep paying, the furnace dies instantly. Why Apple and Google terrify them now? You understand why this camp fears Apple and Google. They don't control the user entrance. OpenAI is just a website, not just an app. Apple and Google control for billion devices. If Apple says, stop eating at the cloud cafeteria, we'll put AI directly on your phone. Not gourmet, but enough for daily use. Free, offline, private. That's a kill shot. If 90% of AI needs, alarms, summaries, photo edits happen locally, who will pay for the trillion-dollar cloud kitchen? If that revenue fantasy collapses, will Microsoft keep feeding NVIDIA? Will NVIDIA's valuation hold? Does the perpetual machine implode? The new Cold War. This is a war over computing sovereignty. The cloud empire wants centralized taxation. Apple and Google want computation back on the device. And in this god-level battle, OpenAI's position has become painfully awkward. Once a dragon slayer, now a hostage. OpenAI's darkest hour next. We shift our focus to the most tragic character in this story, OpenAI. We're going to look straight into its darkest moment and explain why I say it's being downgraded from God to just another high-end worker. OpenAI, Microsoft, and NVIDIA are pushing a vision of cloud centralization. They want to plug every human brain into their data centers and charge by the use. Faced with this open attempt to turn everyone into digital serfs, who panics first? Of course, the terminal warlords, the ones holding phones, speakers, VR headsets. And so, on the other side of Silicon Valley, A survival-driven, Avengers-style alliance was born. If the cloud empire's slogan is nationalize everything, then Apple and Google's slogan is simple: break the monopoly, distribute the land. The round table of the Terminal Alliance. Close your eyes and picture this scene. A round table. 4 powerful figures, each with their own agenda, forced to sit back. At the center sits Tim Cook. He is the gatekeeper. He doesn't have nukes, but he holds 1.5 billion keys to 1.5 billion iPhones. He looks calmly at OpenAI, Microsoft, and NVIDIA, with one unspoken message: your model can be a god, but if I don't open the door, you don't get in. On his left sits Sundar Pichai. He is the arms dealer. To earn access to those keys, Google is willing to give its most advanced Gemini model to Apple for free or even at a loss. Just like the U.S. in World War II, reluctant to fight directly but shipping weapons non-stop. On Cook's right sits an unexpected figure, Mark Zuckerberg. Many people ask, wait, isn't Meta at war with Apple? Yes, Apple's privacy rules cost Meta hundreds of billions, but when facing a greater enemy, Microsoft OpenAI soften. I monopoly, personal grudges don't matter. Zuckerberg's role is the demolition expert. He floods the world with open-source llama models, dumping tens of millions of dollars worth of training costs onto the street for free. His logic is ruthless. If I can't be number one, I'll make sure nobody can sell models for profit. This is classic scorched earth warfare. To stop the cloud empire from collecting tolls, he blows up the road itself. In the corner sits Amazon.Bezos. Maybe gone, but Amazon's fear is very real. If people start asking Microsoft Copilot where to buy shoes instead of searching Amazon, the retail empire collapses. So Amazon joins the alliance, supplying retail data and cloud support from the flank. Do you see it now? This isn't cooperation. It's a counter-encirclement. The cloud gods sit above. Apple and Google use bundling and open source to drag them down, turning gods into free calculators on everyone's phone. The battlefield is perfectly split. On one side, cloud landlords with money printers. On the other, terminal warlords holding the gates to billions of users. At this point, the real question is no longer whose tech is better. The real question is, where are the trillions of dollars flowing? Among all the counterattacks, one move made OpenAI, Microsoft, and NVIDIA truly shiver. The news we mentioned at the start: Gemini officially takes over Siri. Many people still underestimate how serious this is. They say, so what? It's just another chatbot on the iPhone. I can still download ChatGPT. That's completely wrong. This is the difference between a built-in organ and a prosthetic limb. Let's walk through a simple scenario. You want to write a leave request email. Scenario 1. Using the ChatGPT app and lock phone. Find the app, open it, wait to load, type prompt, copy, text, switch, to mail, paste. 7 or 8 steps. This is app level AI. Scenario 2. Gemini inside Siri. You don't even unlock your phone. Hold the side button or say, hey Siri, write my boss an email saying I'm sick. Next second, Gemini generates the email and fills it directly into mail. You tap send. 1 step. This is system-level AI. This isn't about convenience. This is dimensional warfare. Remember the browser wars? Netscape once had 90% market share. Microsoft didn't beat it with a better browser. Microsoft killed it by bundling Internet Explorer into Windows for free. No download, no choice. History is repeating itself. Gemini doesn't need installation. Like IE back then, it haunts every input box, every photo, every calendar entry. It's everywhere. Even worse, system-level integration changes user behavior forever. Once Gemini is embedded deep into iOS, it stops being a Q&A bot. It becomes your digital steward. It knows what photos you took yesterday, who you argued with in messages, what ideas you wrote in notes. All of this is local, private data. OpenAI never sees it, blocked outside the sandbox. So when you ask, am I free next week? ChatGPT says, please provide your schedule. Siri Gemini says, you're free Wednesday afternoon, and it's your ex's birthday. Probably don't go out. That's the ultimate weapon. Context awareness. more personal, more convenient. A moat so deep that cloud AI can't cross. OpenAI's valuation collapse logic. By now, the picture is clear. Apple and Google have built a consumer-side wall. OpenAI has been pushed from system to app. But external pressure is only half the problem. The real poison comes from within. Behind OpenAI, its strongest ally, Microsoft, has quietly shown its fangs. That $830 billion valuation dream is collapsing from the inside. Apple and Google's alliance shatters OpenAI's valuation logic. Wall Street once priced OpenAI like an operating system. The bet was simple. ChatGPT becomes the universal entrance. All services plug into it. It collects tolls from the world. That deserves a 50x100x multiple. But once Gemini enters iOS, at the system level, OpenAI is demoted. Inside Apple's ecosystem, it's no longer the entrance. It becomes an app, a plugin. This is fatal. No app in history has ever been valued higher than the operating system. Once you go from tax collector to taxpayer paying Apple's 30% cut, trapped in privacy sandboxes, your imagination shrinks from trillions to billions, or less. This is the Intel trap. Intel powered every PC. But who made the money? Apple sold the devices. Microsoft sold the OS. Intel stayed hidden in the box, doing the hardest work for the thinnest margins. That's where OpenAI is heading. A central kitchen cooking non-stop, while Microsoft and Apple serve, smile, and collect. If you never touch the end user, you have no pricing power. Microsoft's backstab on the enterprise side. If losing consumers was expected, the enterprise betrayal is brutal. OpenAI launched GPT Enterprise. Microsoft responded with copilots for Microsoft 365. Think like a Fortune 500 CEO. Option A, buy from OpenAI, a startup with compliance risks. Option B, buy from Microsoft, a 20-year partner, fully integrated with Office, secure familiar sales reps. Who do you choose? Microsoft wins 99% of the time. OpenAI supplies the weapons. Microsoft loots the battlefield. OpenAI becomes outsourced R&D, functional acquisition, without buying it. At that moment, you're no longer a god. You're a premium employee. The final missing piece, data. The deepest risk for OpenAI is data. OpenAI has read the entire internet. That's the problem. There's nothing left to read. That's why GPT-5 is slow. Meanwhile, Apple and Meta sit on oceans of private data, and suddenly, a third force becomes crucial. Elon Musk. XAI started late, but Musk holds something no one else has, physical world data. Millions of Teslas drive daily, scanning reality, video streams that motion data, feedback loops. This is the key to robots like Optimus. When AI moves from chatting to washing dishes, it needs motion, not text. OpenAI has none. Musk is sitting on oil. His strategy: you fight for brains in the cloud. I build bodies in the real world, while others bleed in digital red oceans. Musk builds a full-stack loop of compute plus energy plus hardware. The mid-game, 3 kingdoms. This war isn't 2 sides, it's 3. Cloud centralization. OpenAI, Microsoft, NVIDIA. Terminal sovereignty. Apple, Google, Meta. Physical ascension, Musk. So as investors holding real money, what do? If we can't predict winners, can we escape the bet? Yes. And now, I'll give you my core strategy. The final strategy, by the gates, not the pipes. Look at what's in your hand, your phone. For the past 2 years, Wall Street said, buy the shovels. In the next 2 years, that logic flips. We buy the mine owners. Long terminals. Short, pure middlemen. Why? Because AI makes intelligence cheap. When thinking costs 0, intelligence isn't valuable. Containers are. Whoever delivers intelligence to users, phones, robots, hardware, controls the faucet. Cloud water gets cheaper. Faucets collect rent. Closer to users equals closer to money. There is no small and beautiful here, only big and complete or dead. Final words, the Iron Curtain has fallen. This isn't just a tech split, it's a split in humanity's future. Cloud gods want ascension. Terminal lords want grounding. I bet on the pocket Because people don't want distant gods. They want obedient servants.